For over 2 decades, Only Fools and Horses entertained millions with its sharp wit, unforgettable catchphrases, and iconic characters. The adventures of Del Boy, Rodney, and the gang from Peckham remain a cherished part of British television history. However, as time has passed, many of the talented actors who brought the show's beloved and hilarious characters to life have sadly left us. From lead stars to unforgettable guest appearances, their contributions to the series will never be forgotten. In this tribute, we look back at 43 actors from Only Fools and Horses who have tragically passed away and celebrate the legacy they left behind. Roger Lloyd Pack played Trigger in Only Fools and Horses in 1981 at the age of 37. Trigger was the embodiment of simplicity, a man who seemed blissfully unaware of his own absurdity, yet possessed a heart of gold and unwavering loyalty to his friends. While the audience laughed at his dim-witted remarks, Roger's real life was filled with shadows. Though he found success in The Vicar of Dibley and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, he was typecast, forever known as Trigger, a role that overshadowed his serious theatrical ambitions. His marriage to Sheila Ball failed to bring him lasting happiness, and although he had a daughter, Emily, he struggled with emotional distance, haunted by his father's tragic death in an asylum. In his final years, pancreatic cancer ravaged his body, leaving him frail and isolated. On January 16, 2014, at the age of 69, he passed away, his body failing him just as his career had decades earlier. Diane Langton played June Snell in Only Fools and Horses, 1985, at 41, bringing charm and flirtatious energy to the role of Marlene's friend, whose lively presence added humor to the show. Despite her undeniable talent, true stardom remained elusive, and she found herself stuck in a cycle of minor roles and theater work that never led to lasting recognition. Her marriage to actor Derek Jameson was troubled from the start, plagued by financial strain and mutual resentment. Their son, Peter, grew up amid constant instability, and by the time Diane and Derek divorced, she was left emotionally and financially drained. In later years, her health declined rapidly due to kidney disease, and she spent her final months in and out of hospitals, largely alone except for a few loyal friends. She passed away on January 15, 2025, at 80, her death going mostly unnoticed in an industry that had long since moved on, leaving behind a career filled with unfulfilled promise. Buster Merryfield played Uncle Albert in Only Fools and Horses in 1985 at the age of 65. Uncle Albert was a man of the past, a relic of wartime heroism whose exaggerated naval tales masked the loneliness of his twilight years. Buster, too, carried a heavy burden, having spent most of his life in banking before acting finally gave him purpose. But the transition was not smooth, many saw him as an amateur, and he constantly feared being seen as a fraud. His marriage to Iris was his only refuge, yet their life was marked by financial struggles, forcing him to work well into his old age. He longed for children but never had any, leaving him to face mortality without a legacy. As the years wore on, his body betrayed him, he developed a brain tumor that stole his sharpness and vitality. On June 23, 1999, at the age of 78, he succumbed to the disease, his once booming voice silenced forever. Roy Heather played Sid in Only Fools and Horses, 1982, at 47, portraying the grumpy yet endearing cafe owner whose sarcastic wit masked a quiet loyalty to the Trotters and his regulars. Though the role made him recognizable, his career never took off beyond similar supporting characters, leaving him frustrated with the industry's typecasting. His personal life was equally turbulent, his marriage to Patricia Craggs ended in a bitter divorce, and his relationship with their only son, James, grew distant over time. Financial insecurity haunted him, as acting jobs became scarcer in his later years. Suffering from long-term illness, he spent his final days in solitude, with only a handful of friends checking in on him. Once a familiar face on British television, he faded into obscurity. He passed away on September 3, 2014, at 79, after a prolonged illness, his death barely making headlines, a quiet exit for a man who had spent decades bringing laughter to audiences. John Challis played Boycie in Only Fools and Horses in 1981 at the age of 39. Boycie was a schemer, a man desperate to prove his superiority while hiding deep insecurities. John, in many ways, shared this fate. Though he found success in the green grass, he never escaped Boycie's shadow, a character that both made and trapped him. His personal life was marred by failed relationships. He was married 4 times, each ending in bitterness and regret. His 4th wife, Carol, stood by him, but their home was filled with echoes of his past mistakes. His greatest heartbreak came from being childless. He longed for a son but was denied the chance to be a father. As he aged, illness crept in, cancer took hold, and he faced it with the same dry wit as his on-screen counterpart. The industry that once adored him moved on, leaving him to fade away. On September 17, 2021, at the age of 79, he lost his battle, his voice forever silenced. Leonard Pierce played Grandad in Only Fools and Horses in 1981 at the age of 66. As the lovable yet absent-minded elder of the Trotter family, Grandad provided comic relief and a sense of nostalgia, his character embodying a past long gone. Leonard's own life was filled with missed chances. Despite a career in theater, mainstream success arrived late, and even then, it was fleeting. He never married, never had children, and lived a quiet, solitary existence, his life dedicated entirely to his craft. A lifelong smoker, his health was already declining when he joined the show, but he refused to slow down. In late 1984, he suffered a heart attack but insisted on returning to work, unaware that his body was failing him. Just days later, another massive heart attack struck, this time fatal. On December 15, 1984, at the age of 69, he passed away alone, his absence leaving a void in the show and a reminder of the fleeting nature of both fame and life. Kenneth MacDonald played Mike Fisher in Only Fools and Horses in 1983 at the age of 33. As the friendly but often exasperated landlord of the Nag's Head, Mike Fisher found himself caught between Del Boy's schemes and his own efforts to run a respectable pub. Kenneth, much like his character, was often overlooked, a supporting actor in both his career and life. Despite appearing in It Ain't Half Hot Mom and Goodnight Sweetheart, true stardom eluded him. His marriage to Sheila provided some happiness, but financial struggles weighed heavily on him, as acting never provided the security he craved. Stress and exhaustion took a toll on his health, and in 2001, during what was meant to be a relaxing holiday in Hawaii, tragedy struck. He suffered a fatal heart attack on August 5, at just 50 years old, his life cut short before he could enjoy the later years he had so desperately worked for. John Bardon played a policeman in Only Fools and Horses, 1986, at 47 before later finding fame as Jim Branning in EastEnders, a role that finally brought him wider recognition. However, success came at a cost. His dedication to his craft left little time for family, and though he remained married to Enda Gates, the pressures of his career and his declining health put a strain on their relationship. In 2007, he suffered a severe stroke that left him with speech difficulties and mobility issues, effectively ending his career and leaving him struggling with the reality of his new limitations. Though his wife cared for him, he grew increasingly withdrawn, spending his final years in a care home, his once powerful presence reduced to a mere shadow of his former self. Medical bills drained his savings, forcing him to rely on charity funds from the entertainment industry. He passed away on September 12, 2014, at 75, after years of battling complications from his stroke. Desmond McNamara played Earl in Only Fools and Horses, 1981, at 43, portraying a loyal and hardworking man who never quite got the recognition he deserved. Much like his character, Desmond's real-life career was overshadowed by others, leading to a string of minor television roles that never propelled him to stardom. Despite early promise, he struggled financially, often taking side jobs to support himself. His marriage to Sheila, a schoolteacher, was strained by his lack of steady work and long periods of depression. They had one son, Daniel, but Desmond's inability to provide stability drove a wedge between them. After their painful divorce, he fell into alcoholism and battled depression, withdrawing from the public eye. Isolated and forgotten by the industry, he lived out his final years in a modest apartment, struggling with chronic health issues. On June 7, 2022, at 84, he passed away alone from pneumonia, his body not discovered for days. Derek Newark played Eric the policeman in Only Fools and Horses, 1981, at 48, bringing an air of authority and old-school toughness to the role. An actor of remarkable presence, he was a veteran of British television, with roles in Doctor Who and Z-Cars, yet despite his talent, true stardom remained elusive. His personal life was a tragic reflection of his professional struggles. His marriage to Sheila Grant ended in bitter divorce, fueled by years of financial strain and his worsening alcoholism. They had one son, Matthew, who cut ties with his father after witnessing too many nights of drunken rages. As his career faded, so did Derek's health, with liver failure looming over him as a consequence of decades of hard drinking. His final years were spent in and out of hospitals, his once powerful frame reduced to weakness. Alone and embittered, he died on August 11, 1998, at 65, a victim of a heart attack brought on by his failing liver. Christopher Malcolm portrayed Chief of Security in Only Fools and Horses, 1983, at 37, playing a strict but fair enforcer of order. While he had a solid career with roles in film and television, he was often typecast, limiting his opportunities for creative fulfillment. His marriage to Susan, a fellow actress, initially seemed strong, but the demands of their respective careers and financial instability created tension. They had two daughters, Rachel and Emily, but Christopher's long work hours made him an absent father. As his career waned, he struggled to find consistent roles, leading to financial hardship and mounting debts. In 2013, he was diagnosed with cancer, a battle he fought largely on his own, as his marriage had already collapsed. The treatment drained him both physically and financially, leaving him in a dire situation. On February 15, 2014, he passed away at 67, his final days marked by pain and solitude. Geoffrey Toone portrayed Lord Ridgemere in Only Fools and Horses in 1982 at the age of 72, bringing aristocratic charm and detached wit to the show. A classically trained actor with a career spanning theater, film, and television, Toone had once been on the path to greatness. He starred in Shakespearean productions and even had a notable role in Doctor Who, yet the golden days of his career faded, leaving him to accept smaller parts that failed to capture the public's imagination. The decline was slow but merciless, and his offers dwindled, so did his finances. Despite his regal on-screen presence, his personal life was far from grand. He never married, citing an all-consuming devotion to his craft, but in truth, loneliness haunted him. His later years were marked by deteriorating health and financial insecurity, forcing him to rely on old acquaintances for support. By the time he passed away on June 1, 2005, at the age of 94 from natural causes. Peter Woodthorpe played Reg Trotter in Only Fools and Horses, 1983, at 52, embodying a sly and opportunistic character always seeking easy money. A classically trained actor with immense talent, Peter initially found success in theater and voice acting, but his television career never reached its full potential. He remained unmarried, struggling with personal demons that kept him from forming deep relationships. Alcohol became his coping mechanism, and as his drinking worsened, so did his professional reputation. He was known for erratic behavior and occasional outbursts, leading to fewer job offers. In his later years, he became increasingly reclusive, shutting himself away in his small London apartment. His declining health went untreated due to his stubborn refusal to seek help. On August 12, 2004, he died of heart failure at 72, his body discovered only after neighbors noticed his absence. Ray Mort played the policeman in Only Fools and Horses in 1983 at the age of 57, portraying a steadfast officer patrolling the chaotic streets of Peckham. Though his character was a minor one, Mort's stern yet weary presence added a layer of realism to the show's world. His acting career had spanned decades, but despite numerous television roles, true stardom eluded him. He found himself typecast as authority figures, a fate that brought work but little artistic fulfillment. His marriage to his wife, Margaret, had long been strained. Their 3 children, Jane, Thomas, and William, saw little of him as he threw himself into work that never seemed to bring the success he longed for. Financial difficulties forced him to take on theater gigs well into his later years, performing in half-empty halls for meager pay. As his health deteriorated, he retreated into isolation, plagued by regret and a deep sense of failure. His death on July 4, 1994, at the age of 68. Joan Sims portrayed Auntie Reenie Turpin in Only Fools and Horses, 1987, at 57, bringing warmth and humor to the role of a caring family figure. Off-screen, however, her life was marked by loneliness and personal struggles. Despite decades of success in film and television, Joan never married, and her relationships were fleeting, leaving her without a lifelong companion. The pressures of fame, combined with the fear of aging out of the industry, led her to excessive drinking, which only deepened her depression. By the late 1990s, her health had deteriorated significantly, and she suffered a stroke that left her frail and struggling with mobility. Her final years were spent in near solitude, her once bright spirit dimmed by illness and regret. On June 27, 2001, at 71, she passed away due to complications from another stroke, her death marking the end of a career that had brought joy to millions but little peace to herself. Michael Attwell played Englishman in Only Fools and Horses, 1982, at the age of 39, embodying a sophisticated and well-spoken character often entangled in the Trotters' schemes. Off-screen, his life was far from refined. Though he found moderate success in British television, he never achieved the stardom he craved. His marriage to Helen, a former model, was passionate but volatile, marked by constant fights over his career instability. They had one son, Benjamin, whom Michael adored but rarely saw due to long filming schedules. As his career declined, so did his finances, forcing him to take any role that came his way, no matter how humiliating. The stress took a toll on his health, and by his 50s, he was diagnosed with heart disease. His body weakened, yet he continued working, desperate to hold on to whatever relevance he had left. In 2006, complications from a routine surgery proved fatal. On March 18, 2006, at the age of 63, he passed away in a hospital bed. Anthony Morton played Louis Lombardi in Only Fools and Horses in 1983 at the age of 56, portraying a smooth-talking yet ultimately hapless character entangled in various schemes. His career, much like his character's life, was one of near misses and fleeting successes. Despite talent and charisma, he never secured the breakout role that could have cemented his place in the industry. Instead, he drifted between television and theater, struggling to make a living. His personal life fared no better. His marriage to actress Elaine Summers collapsed after just 5 years, strained by financial instability and his growing dependence on alcohol to numb the pain of rejection. He had one son, Daniel, but their relationship was distant, marred by resentment and long absences. As his career faded, so did his will to fight. The industry moved on without him, and by the 2020s, he was largely forgotten, living a reclusive existence. He suffered a fatal heart attack on January 15, 2001, at the age of 73. Walter Sparrow portrayed Dirty Barry in Only Fools and Horses in 1989 at the age of 62, bringing to life a colorful, somewhat shady character known for his outrageous antics. In reality, Walter's own life was just as chaotic, though he had a respectable acting career with roles in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves and Ever After. He was plagued by financial instability and personal tragedy. Married 3 times, none of his marriages lasted, each one ending in painful separation. His only son, Timothy, resented his father's reckless spending and constant disappearances, leading to years of estrangement. By the late 1990s, Walter was struggling with severe depression, often found wandering the streets of London, muttering lines from old scripts, as if desperate to hold on to a past that had long faded. Diagnosed with an aggressive illness, he refused treatment, believing there was nothing left worth fighting for. He died alone in a hospice on May 31, 2000, at the age of 73. Jean Mockford played the woman in the kiosk in Only Fools and Horses in 1986 at the age of 60, portraying a sharp-tongued yet strangely endearing shopkeeper who always had a sarcastic remark or unsolicited advice for customers. Though a minor character, she left an impression with her witty exchanges. Jean's career spanned decades, primarily in supporting roles in British television and theatre, but she never found lasting fame. She married stagehand Robert Hillier in the 1950s, but their marriage crumbled under financial strain and her relentless pursuit of work. Their only son, Peter, resented her frequent absences and grew distant, leaving her emotionally isolated. In her later years, Jean suffered from dementia, gradually forgetting the industry and people who had once been her life. She spent her final years in a nursing home, often confused and alone, with few visitors except for a kind-hearted nurse. She passed away on November 16, 2018, at the age of 92. Trevor Byfield played Eric in Only Fools and Horses in 1991 at the age of 48, embodying a tough, outspoken character with a brash demeanor. He was best known for playing hardened criminals and law enforcement officers in British television, but his real life was filled with personal and professional turmoil. Despite steady work in shows like The Bill and Casualty, he was often overlooked for major roles. His marriage to Caroline fell apart due to his heavy drinking and unpredictable temper, leaving their 2 children, Adam and Jessica, estranged from him. His struggles with alcohol worsened in the 2000s, leading to numerous public outbursts and lost job opportunities. By his 60s, he was financially destitute, living in a cramped, dilapidated flat, relying on meager pensions and the occasional handout from former colleagues. His health declined rapidly due to years of alcohol abuse, and by 2017, he was battling severe pneumonia. He passed away on October 11, 2017, at the age of 73. Constance Chapman portrayed Elsie Partridge in Only Fools and Horses in 1989 at the age of 77, playing a warm, no-nonsense woman who served as a source of wisdom and support. Constance had a long but unglamorous career, working primarily in theater and television dramas. Despite her extensive resume, she never found financial security and spent most of her life living modestly. She married fellow actor Harold Weston, but their careers kept them apart, leading to a cold, distant relationship that eventually ended in quiet separation. Their only daughter, Anne, struggled with drug addiction in her youth, and by the 1990s, she had cut ties with Constance entirely, leaving her mother heartbroken. Constance suffered from severe arthritis in her later years, making even the simplest movements painful. She lived alone in a small London flat, rarely seeing friends or family. When she died on August 10, 2003, at the age of 91, and her body was not discovered for several days. Michael Jaston played James Turner in Only Fools and Horses in 1996 at the age of 61. His character was a sharp and intellectual figure, often weaving in and out of complex narratives with calculated precision. Jason's career, while marked by early success in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Nicholas and Alexandra, suffered from the merciless nature of the entertainment industry. His transition into older roles proved difficult, with offers growing increasingly sparse. His personal life was no less troubled. He went through 2 divorces, first from actress Lynn Farley and later from Elizabeth Smith, leaving him emotionally drained. He had 2 children, but his strained relationship with them left him feeling abandoned. On February 5, 2024, Michael Jaston passed away at the age of 88. Though his final years were marked by health challenges and a fading connection to the industry that once embraced him, his legacy remains in the many memorable performances he left behind. Angus Mackay portrayed the vicar in Only Fools and Horses in 1987 at the age of 61. His character was a compassionate, wise, and ever-patient figure, offering moral guidance amidst the chaos of Peckham. Mackay was best known for playing the first headmaster in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but his acting career was filled with ups and downs, never quite reaching the heights he aspired to. A lifelong bachelor, Mackay never married and lived much of his life alone, his deep devotion to his craft leaving little room for personal relationships. In his later years, he battled deteriorating health and worsening dementia, which robbed him of the ability to remember his own work. By the time he passed away on June 8, 2013, at the age of 86, he was frail, forgotten by much of the industry he had once dedicated his life to, dying in solitude with no family by his side. Who is your favorite character in Only Fools and Horses? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.